Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be discussing set 76461 from LEGO Harry Potter, the Cornish Pixie. This was a 2026 set released this past January, a buildable creature style set, of course for the first time ever in LEGO, doing a one-to-one scale for the Cornish Pixie as seen in the Chamber of Secrets. In addition to the Cornish Pixie here, we get a small wand, copy of Gilderoy Lockhart's Guide to Household Pests, and a spilling ink from when the Pixie is causing mayhem and havoc within Gilderoy Lockhart's Defense Against the Dark Arts class in the second film. Quick look at the instruction booklet here. You can get insider points with this set, of course. The instructions themselves don't have any special content within them, but they're well designed. You begin with the book, then the ink, then the wand, and then the pixie. So I liked that vertical building style and beginning with the kind of side objects before getting to the gratification of building the main event of the set. For this review, I think it makes sense to take one item at a time. I would note that if you look at the underside of this set, you see the stand that the pixie is perched on is built onto this book at the bottom. You could disassemble it, but did want to highlight that foundation here for the set. So starting out here with Gilderoy Lockhart's Guide to Household Pests, you can see that there are some clips and studs featured on this build through which you would attach the other builds on top of it. Not too much to show off here. Of course, there isn't really an underside to this build. You get some papering detail on the side here. This hole is where you pin in the column for the pixie. You do get very nice sticker details included with this book. So the cover of Gilderoy Lockhart with some spiders on all sides of him, the name of the book itself, and then on the spine, the same. So these are all sticker details, but I think that they match the colors pretty nicely. Of course, this is very out of scale with an actual book. This is more like a pocket-sized book, but I think that it does work fine within the set, as the focal point of the set is really the pixie, and it kind of creates an illusion that the pixie is like jumping out towards you from a book that's maybe like theoretically a little bit further away. So I think it works fine within the context of the set to have this build be a bit smaller. Next up, we get Gilderoy Lockhart's wand. Again, kind of a scaled down wand than some other buildable wands that we would see throughout the theme, but I think that it is built nicely with this gear piece, these tan pieces, and then these chocolate frog decorative elements at the end, I think work nicely to make the handle of the wand look a little bit fancier. Next, you build the pot of ink. This is a fairly straightforward build. These pieces are actually kind of like transparent black, I guess, so they are a little see-through in person. Might be a touch hard to see in this lighting. And then the kind of star of the show up here is this nice piece in a different color, but the same piece leveraged within the X Mansion set, which I also have. So I was familiar with this piece and think it's used to really great effect here to kind of create the illusion that the pixie is spilling the ink out of the bottle and you're getting a snapshot dynamic image in real time. The ink clips onto the book here, and then the wand is pinned with this piece in the stud up there. The pixie can disattach from this stand if you pull out the pin at the top and bottom there. So the pixie does stand. I think it definitely looks best in flight mode on that transparent column piece. But we can see here the dexterity built into the pixie. So the arms are on this hinge piece, straighten or bend at the elbow. The hands can go up and down, 3 fingers on each hand of these pixies that are coming at you. The legs do not bend, so they are at this 90-degree angle, but they are on this ball joint, so you can move the pixie in all different kinds of directions for some innovative posing. On the back here, you can kind of see the angling for these winged pieces. So you can adjust the angle a little bit that they're at, but the ideal angle is an even angle between these different wings and then positioning it accordingly. They can also be bent like further backward or forward. And the piece itself is quite nice. It has a very slight shimmer to it. It does add a certain magical quality to these wings to have that slight shimmer. The ears are pretty bent in place. You can move them a little bit as well, but I think I like them kind of perked up. And I like the positioning of having at least one arm kind of stretched out toward you so that when we pin it onto the book, it looks like the pixie is jumping out at you. So again, to reattach the set, we push the pin into the back of the pixie here, and then push down the pin after attaching the studs to this book piece down below. And here we have the illusion that the pixie is flying toward us. Because these elements are being spilled over, I kind of like to have one foot back. You can have another kind of, angled out a little more, and then create some This actually might be a play set. I'm having maybe a little bit too much fun here. Although this is a relatively smaller set at 329 pieces for the buildable creature lineup within Harry Potter, builds like the Thestral family or Buckbeak have larger piece counts than this. I think it's in some ways the most fun to move around and display, in part because of the stability inherent to having the creature be really pinned down to this heavier base. I found that the Buckbeak build, as well as the Thestrals, you can move the limbs around and pose them in different ways, but with that comes the risk of them falling over. So at 329 pieces for $29.99, not the biggest steal in the world, but not too bad. You get stickers on the book, but these eye pieces up top are printed. As I referenced earlier, these side builds on the bottom are kind of smaller in scale than the one-to-one real-life pixie up top, but I kind of like that contrast. To me, it kind of creates the illusion that the pixie has leapt off of this book and is kind of imposingly jumping toward you, rather than a larger book at the bottom, not just contributing to a higher piece count in price, but also kind of pulling a bit of focus or making the pixie seem a little bit smaller or potentially less menacing by comparison. I also think that this set nicely balances out the contrast between cute and creepy. Like, it is a little creepy, but I feel like I think it's quite cute. And I'm happy to have this within my collection. So with that said, I think I will wrap this up. I think I'll wrap this up. I hope that you enjoyed this review. I do recommend this set if you like the idea of having a, $30 buildable pixie on your shelf. It was a fun build to put together. Hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Pesky, pesky, pestronomy.